My name's Barry Haslam. I'm chair of Oldham Tranks support group for involuntary tranquilizer addiction, and we also help people who are on antidepressants and painkillers. I was 32 and I had a complete breakdown, mental breakdown. I was studying at night school, holding 2 jobs down, and I moved jobs as well to Manchester University, and I just crashed. Got put on benzos and antidepressants for 5 years, and then it was 1981. They very kindly put me on a drug called ADS-Haslam, which that's the one that's done me harm. Started me on 10 milligrams, then it increased to 20, then increased to 30. And the normal dose, the maximum dose now is 4 milligrams. And even by those standards, the maximum should have been 10 milligrams, but they put me up to 30. And as a consequence, I've got no memory aged 32 to 42, none whatsoever. I've got none. My 2 children, my 2 daughters, Kath and Sue, were 6 and 7, and I see them all grown up. I have no memory of a family life of my wife Sue. And then, to add insult to injury, I come through it, and I'm trying to sort out the relevant facts and do some investigation, and I find out that, the pain, it's left me with neuropathic pain in my right side, which I've had ever since I came off the drugs. 19th of March 86, because I would call it my second birthday. But the reason why I came off the drugs, withdrew myself, was because I turned extremely violent, and then nearly hit my wife Sue one Christmas. I love her to bits, but I knew there was something wrong, so it had to be the drugs. So, it took me 15 months to come off, and the last 6 months worked with a psychologist and gave me some help, but it was virtually left to myself. The doctors didn't want to know at all, and they just left me to it. By the time of peaking my addiction in 85, I bulked up to about 14.5 stone, and then through 15 months of withdrawal, I lost half my body weight. I went into 7 stone. I was being violently sick, psychotic. The sweats. Sometimes we had to change the bed linen twice a night. The full withdrawal took me 15 months. But by today's standards, that was extremely fast because of the sheer amount of drugs I was on. Because as well as the 30 milligram of ADS-Haslam, I was also on 12 dihydrocodeine tablets as well for the headaches. Again, all this is on repeat prescription by the doctors. It gave me no help whatsoever, and just left me to it. So I come through, and I find that the neuropathic pain in my right leg is down to the benzos. I've got confirmation of that from the Manchester Rheumatism Hospital. And then subsequently, I found out that I've got thyroid problems. I've got cognitive problems as well. And others, and breathing problems. I've been diagnosed with COPD, and I've never smoked. So, and the thing is, the accumulation of this toxicity for 10 years, it's built up, and that's the result. I'm permanently damaged because of 10 years prescribing of drugs which should have only been used for 2 to 4 weeks. And that's why I've campaigned, and that's why it's a national scandal. I was extremely angry the first few years. Obviously, somebody's taken 10 years of your life. You're not going to take it lying down. So that's why I campaigned, and I have done ever since, to stop. It just stops one family going through, that I've gone through. Then it'll be worthwhile. I think anger drove me initially for the first few years, but you can always sustain that that level of anger. So I thought, what I've got to do is to look into it, to get as much information, research as I can, to get it out there to help people, and also to help people at Tranks, which is what I've done over the years. And very kindly, the Oldham Chronicle, the local newspaper, they backed me for many, many years, which I'm very grateful for, so I could get it out there. And then, yeah, because of this, you know, people have said, you know, carry on, Barry, what are you doing, it's right. It's right, and I mean, I know it's right. It's so unjustice that you've got services for, you know, for illegal addicts, for alcoholics, and you got virtually nothing for prescribed addicts, and it's just not right. I wouldn't like to put any single human being through what I went through, because, you know, most of the time I was hanging on to my sanity because I was being dragged into this world. I was being dragged into the current world from the past, and going through all this suffering with all the physical, the mental aspects. I mean, you know, I'm not knocking on withdrawal or the crack addicts what take a few weeks, but mine took me 15 months. 15 months of hell. I won't put anybody through that. But I did it, and I'm no stronger than, you know, I don't think I'm than the next person. But I know I had to do it to, you know, to survive and come back to my family. I was able to do it for the love and the support of my wife, so she brought me through it, you know, with the support. Because one thing that when you're coming through drug withdrawal, any drug withdrawal, you need reassurance all the time that you're going to come through it. You know, because you're asking the same question, you know, can I do it? Will I do it? And you just want that reassurance, and I got it from and the love of my wife, so and that's what brought me through. There's nothing out there. There's no national helpline, so people are coming on to us. They're crying. They want help. I can remember one weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I taught 3 people out to committing suicide over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and because there's nothing out there. And why I do it is because of my own experiences and how horrific it was, but to help people, you know, come through this, and they can come through it. But there's such a scarcity of knowledge and people to help out there, and that's why, you know, that's the really good thing why ADS are doing it. You've got to bring people off benzos and Z-drugs. You've got to bring them off much more slower, much more controlled. It can take years in some respects, and we were working with Professor Ashton and a few other charities, and we've actually got the BNF to be altered. But the thing is, you've got to bring them off slowly, and you've got to treat, you know, there's no uniformity, there's no standard treatment. You've got to treat each patient as separate. And work with them, because everybody's circumstances are different. Some might have family support, some might be individuals, some might have no support. So you've got to work with them, but it's got to be relatively structured. But the thing is that by ADS doing this since 2004, they've now got the expertise, because they're working on Professor Ashton's protocol, which is brilliant, because that's gone out to 16 different languages now. You know, so it's been used worldwide. So it's the Benzo Bible, and so ADS are working from that. But also, the good thing, just like Professor Ashton, Heather, the ADS, certainly Suzanne and Angela and predecessor, you know, they had the humility to work with the patients, to learn from them, because you can't go to university to learn this. It's got to be hands-on, it's got to be the core face, and that's why ADS works. The recent July seminar, the House of Commons, even though I wasn't too well myself, but I thought it was a tremendous event on the day, and more to the point, it got, you know, when you get a Shadow Secretary of State there as chair, then you know you're reaching the top levels. And that's what you've got to do with this, because, you know, not only is it a national scandal, it's a political problem, and it needs a political solution. In fact, I go even further and say it needs an independent public inquiry. We've had 50 years of prescribing these drugs, which are, you know, addicted and addicted literally millions. Certainly 1.5 million currently, and they've injured, they've disabled, they've killed people. Certainly to my reckoning, over the last 50 years, about 20,000 people. They've killed by directly about 300 a year average on poisoning, and 100 on road traffic accidents. And it needs an investigation. You know, it needs an investigation, an inquiry, but it also needs the politicians to have the guts to start looking at this and to tackle it. I blame there's several agencies. I blame the drug manufacturers for sheer greed, for selling a product which was only meant to be very, very short term use, 2 to 4 weeks, and it's been quite deliberately been allowed to prescribe long term. I.e., we've got a guy at the group who's been on it for 45 years. I mean, even you go back in 1980, the CRM, Committee on Review of Medicine, said the efficacy was 4 months only. Yeah, this guy's been on it for 45 years. We've got governments who've rolled over to the drug manufacturers. They've rolled over and others stomach tickled, which, you know, it's just so wrong. It's revolving doors with the drug manufacturers, with the regulatory authorities. One door opens, another goes in. It's, you know, it's almost incestuous. And then you've got the medical profession who took the easy way out, way too easy, because this should have been stopped 30 years ago. The extent to how it's been allowed to develop, it should have been stopped 30 years ago. They should have gone to government as a body, the BMA, and said, look, we've got problems with these drugs. 1979, 31 million prescriptions were issued for benzos alone. You know, way too much. They should have said, look, we need alternative treatment, you know, we need counselling, because these drugs don't work. They just, you know, they put you in a state where you can't cope, they're zombified. What good is that to a human being? And then you've got, like I say, you've got the regulatory authorities who've looked the other way. Certainly the MCA, the MHRA, they're far too closely aligned to the drug manufacturers. In fact, the MCA, if I'm right, I'm fairly sure I'm right, that their only source of income was for the drug licenses that they issued to the drug manufacturers. So they're not going to be independent, they're not going to be at arm's length. So the whole thing is one massive web of cover-up and corruption from top to bottom. I'm really pleased that it's taken off. Well, more than pleased, I'm really chuffed. It's something that, you know, I've been dreaming about for ages, that I could work with a charity and we could grow this, because I'm just really hoping that we can spread it throughout the northwest of England, and then it can be looked at in its own right and say, look, you know, this system works. Why has the northwest of England got this? We haven't got this in the southeast, we haven't got this in the southwest. Come on, let's go up to these people and learn from them, because it needs a national service. I mean, we've got the nonsense of the Department of Health saying it's a local issue, this, and it's not. It's a national issue, and it should be tackled. You know, it should be tackled likewise. But I'm really pleased to be working with ADS and all that goes with it. Somebody once said, you know, Barry, why are you crusading? And I sort of taken aback. I thought, I'm not crusading. I've just done what I think is right. What is right, because it's so unjust what they put millions of people through in this country. And it's so wrong. And it's not just in this country, it's worldwide. It's absolutely massive. I mean, I'm helping 4 people in the US who are addicted to benzos. There's nothing over there. And they're saying, look, well done you Brits. Literally, well done you Brits. You're doing something over there, you're campaigning, you know, you're trying to get services. There's nothing in our country. In fact, even even in this country, when me and Sue have been taking national help, calls, and they said, Barry, can you find a house up there in Oldham? Come and live in Oldham, because you've got the only good thing you've got tranks, you've got ADS. Please, can I come and live up there, and can you get me off these drugs? Because there's nothing in the area. To go one heck of a good CEO with Lady Rona Bradley, who, I've worked with Rona, and she gave me tremendously, a big thanks to ADS, and sincere thanks too for for all the hard work you're doing, not only with legal but illegal side, because although for me addiction, it's just so painful to the individual going through it, and you just want to be right. You just want to get off the drugs, and you want to return to to your family and to society, and that's just I admire the great work that ADS are doing.
I'm Sue Haslam. I've been married to Barry for 45 years. When Barry was on the drugs, and particularly when he was on the high dose of Ativan, he still worked, but he was like a zombie. And eventually he had to give up work. Like he said, he became violent and obviously couldn't concentrate properly at work. And he couldn't, prior to taking medication, he was a wonderful dad and took a lot of interest in the children, but when he was on Ativan, he couldn't even take an interest in what they were doing. And so he lost those years with the children. The withdrawal was very difficult because with no guidance. We did have the help of a clinical psychologist at the beginning that sort of said, well, this is how I would go about it. But we only saw him a few times. So Barry just set himself he sort of reduced every fortnight at a particular pace, and he didn't say, oh, I can't do it. He just did it until he came off. And there were times it made life very difficult, but like Barry said, he just needed constant reassurance that he would get through it and he would get right. And there were times when I wanted to run away. And we lived up on the hillside here. And there'd be times when I'd go out of the house, run along the lane and up into the quarries and sit and cry. And then I'd realise I could run away, but he couldn't. So pick myself up, go back. And we got through it together. I just feel that perhaps because we had a good relationship to start with, we were able to get through it. This is a hidden factor. A lot of people, it breaks the relationship up, even with the families, because the families don't understand. Some people's opinion is that withdrawing from tranquilizers is as easy as withdrawing from alcohol or hard drugs. And it is nothing compared to that. The problem is you have to take time, and the reduction, there are so many variables. Depends what you're on, if you're on other medication, depends if you've got family support or not. So everything has to be taken into consideration, and the ladies at ADS seem to have taken this on board and used Heather Ashton's protocol as a basis, and it seems to be working very well. We, as I've said, had a good relationship. It was difficult because of what was happening, and he got so violent when he was on this high dose that he hit things. We had a hole in the door, a cupboard, my wardrobe had gone. But he never hit me, I used to have to get behind him and put my hands in front and lock my hands to calm him down, because the strength in him was so terrific. And then one day we had an argument, like you do. And I can see it now. I was stood in the kitchen and his fist came up, and I must have known he wouldn't hit me, because I just stood there. I didn't even attempt to move. And his fist came within that, and he's shaking like that. And he put his hand down and he said, "This is the drugs, this isn't me." And it wasn't. He was never a violent person. It was almost like me being a single parent at times. And I had to help the children with the homework and everything. And I just got on with it. But he lost the children. When he came out of it initially, when he came through it, they'd come and see him and whatever, but they weren't very close. And it took quite a while. It took, I'd say, about 5-6 years, when they were in their late teens, early 20s, when he began the campaigning and they saw what had happened to him and that it wasn't his fault, that they began to come round and be more sympathetic to what had gone on. And that was wonderful to me, because he was getting them back. But he'd lost their childhood. And then when they had children, he had a wonderful time. The grandchildren, it's been marvellous. And we've got a grandson. He used to take him fishing and take him for long walks. There's a memorial right up on the hill there called Pots and Pans. Used to take them up there. And they think the world of him, And even recently, when he can't do as much because of his health, they still think the world of the granddad. And he's very close with Sue and Kath now. But we've sort of closed that chapter, really. I mean, to me, even now, I don't think about it a lot. So.
It's okay. Yeah, just bring it.
I'm sorry, it just brings it back.
At least I've got, I guess I've seen my grandchildren grow up, which, like I said, unfortunately I couldn't do with my own. And it's even more poignant because our Lance, who's 17, he lost his dad when he was only 4. In a motorbike accident. So I've sort of tried to be a surrogate dad, teaching him football and fishing and walking. And I can remember one when we walked up there and he said, "Grandad, I'm talking to you to death, haven't I?" I'm stopping at Grandad. I'm just loving it, they just open up and...
I'm proud of Barry, and I've always just backed him as best I could.